$14 the hard way.
More like $9. More like $9. Episode 21 of the $9 podcast. Here on exclusive to the Patreon, the TalkNShop Patreon. I am the moderator of said Patreon / Patreon chat, which is also known as the Falcon's Nest. And, everybody knows me as Drewski. My last name is mispronounced 150 different times and will probably be mispronounced 150 more times. Yeah, 150 more times than next year at least. You know, eventually somebody hit it. It'll be like hitting the lotto, and on that day, everyone will rejoice. You best believe they will rejoice. So it's about 2 a.m. 2 a.m. on a Friday morning for yours truly. You know, right after this, jump into the Falcon's Nest and do the wake up email, basically letting everybody know what's going on, more or less, right? Because Machine Gun does a good job when he's not having to chase Coast around. And that little hoot's trying to take over LG's co-hosting job, as everybody saw with the last Machine Gun Morning Radio live. And the boy, the gun is very usually overwhelmed by that stuff. So sometimes I think he takes the tours to escape it, but who am I to judge? Because I'm not one to judge because I have no family. I don't know anything about that stuff. It's way above my pay grade. Boys have been had a hell of a week. Flying all over the place. Jet lag. The jet lag is still lingering here and there. It's like they have to go out on the road again in a couple of days. But they have the Christmas week is pretty much the boys are going to be off. The gun LG is going to be in St. Martin's. Ostensibly like having a Christmas vacation, but he's really hunting cryptids. He doesn't want to he's kayfabing the gun on that. He's probably filming the pilot for his cryptid show. Not cutting the gun in on the deal, which would be a very LG thing to do. Another LG thing to do is he's on Whatnot. He's on Whatnot, spreading the carny wings. Getting rid of some stuff like WWE worn gimmicks. One of the few that Takanori never got. If you don't know who Takanori is, deep dive later. Just don't bring it up around Gallows. Gallows still gets shoot hot about that. The gun's talked about the whole serious, Patreon becoming the serious, his own version of the Sirius Radio. He actually mentioned this show as part of it. I'm flattered and flabbergasted at the same time because oh boy. It's like, are you sure? It's like, all right, cool. I try. I try to at least be consistent. I mean, I'm being consistently average. It was one of the resolutions for I'm not a big resolution guy, but resolutions in 2026 to get way better at this shit. I have horrible takes. That's why I self-glossed myself Timu Meltzer, because you do like a you speculate on stuff, stuff without having the full information, and then you get hoodwinked on shit. It makes you, egg on your face. It's a part of the job, right? Uh, I've been watching the whole hullabaloo about the retirement of Mr. Cena. I don't know him well enough to call him John. I'll just refer to him as Mr. Cena. And the whole rambling discourse, it's like he tried to. It's basically the equivalent of it's like Zack Sabre Jr. says, talks about describing technical wrestling as explaining Shakespeare to a dog. To wrestling fans, basically. And you can argue that this retirement, the whole retirement match sort of hit those vibes. It's weird. It's like the last couple of weeks leading up to this, I was getting vibes of like they were sort of treating his leaving much like Moxley. Moxley was about ready to quit the company, basically leave. It's the same vibes for me, right? It's one thing about wrestling retirements. It's like wrestling retirements by and large never stick. Who's to say that he doesn't? His back may be hurting him and stuff, but who's to say he doesn't get take a time off and get his back fixed and heal? I mean, look, same thing happened to Shawn. Shawn Michaels. They told him to never wrestle again. Like 5 years later, he's back. 5 years of rest, and he's back. And even look at more recently. It's like great brother Blade. It's been out for about 2 years for lower back fusion, and now he's starting to. This week he came out, said he's going to start taking wrestling bookings again, which is great. It's great. He's never hinted about retirement, but you have to wonder too, because he's a grizzled brother now, right? He's a grizzled brother. He's 25 years in the business. It's like you have to start looking at the future, pretty much. And you have the whole mentality of never say goodbye. You just say see you later, because things change. Things change. It's like just because he's seen as say he's done now doesn't mean his mind's going to be the same 5 years from now, or 2 to 3 years from now. What if he gets the itch again? It's even Batista's mentioned it more than once. It's like he misses the crowds. It's some guys, they're addicted to it. It's like the adulation, right? And it's just like when you're doing it for that long, it's hard to get rid of. It's like going through a withdrawal. So I hear. Because I know nothing about going through a withdrawal, being a straight edge boy, and I just hear stories, right? And more power to him. It's like if if Cena gets to spend time with his family, so much the better. But we'll see what happens. It's like because there's always a possibility. It's like with like Warner Brothers Discovery having the synergy with like with AEW and Peacemaker and the game show Wipeout, both like Warner Brothers Discovery properties, and Cena's like involved in both, and they both have run commercials on AEW programming in the past. It's like, and it's something to be said about corporate synergy. If Cena one day actually shows up on the AEW programming, I'm not gonna, I won't be surprised if it happens, right? Because stranger things, never say never in wrestling. It's like, especially the last 4 or 5 years, the amount of crazy crap that's gone on in the last 4 or 5 years alone. It's like, the whole never say never thing. It's been pretty much blown out of the water. Really, it's like I wouldn't be surprised if all of you showed up at Wrestle Kingdom to honor Tanahashi, because their careers have been sort of linked, tangent, in a tangent, like similar rises, similar impacts on their companies, right? It would be an interesting. It would be interesting if he did show up, because he's technically not under the WWE umbrella anymore, right? He just did an interview with Cody, and he basically said that killed that last match killed that John Cena character, right? Who's to say he can't make another one, right? Who's to say? So again, stranger things have happened. I'm still of the belief that if he does return, it'll be TalkNShop Mania 3. Because there's one thing about Cena loves the silly. There's a famous story that Colt Cabana tells about first time he met Cena, right? Cena. This was when when Cena had was on a real chair, right? And he was like he gave Colt sort of the stink eye at first meeting, and then he found out that Colt was Matt wrestled as a character named Matt Classic back in the Indies, who was like and Cena basically lost it. Just started getting excited and asking questions all about. Tell me all about Matt Classic, because he loves the absurd in wrestling. That's why he was part of Southpaw Championship. That's Southpaw Championship Wrestling, and I could definitely see him doing the TalkNShop at Mania 3. I don't know how, but I have I would not be surprised at all. The thing is okay, where do they go from here? Now that now that Cena's gone, it's like, okay, next man up. Cody. Cody. I have a lot of admiration for Cody, but those are big shoes to fill, right? And it's not. And he's being sort of being set up to fail in a way, because if things start going south, like ratings wise, you'll get the blame for it, because he was on top when it happened. It's like it's petty, yes, I know, but it's Cody's sort of like he's sort of he's a little apprehensive. I could see that, right? And, I hope everything turns out, but I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. But what I am sure about is AEW continues the hot streak. Continues the hot streak. It's like Dynamite was again another home run. I mean, Kyle Fletcher and Pac. They could have gone another gear easily. They could have gone another gear. That was a teaser. They're gonna someday they're going to scrap over a title, and they're gonna give them all the time, and it's gonna be glorious. Yeah, it's going to be glorious. It's like, it's funny that Mox is starting to get the babyface reactions, even though but everybody can see he's a dead man walking. It's just a matter of with World's End coming up, and their Hammerstein Ballroom this week. It's like the axe is gonna fall on Death Riders are going to take him out. It's just you have to the right situation, even though they're sort of like they're wavering on it a bit because organically they got something going on with the Don Callis family. They're positioning themselves as tweeners to stave off the Don Callis family because again, the Don Callis family is like the looming big bad for next year. They're going to take a lot of titles next year, and may have to come to like the everybody's gonna have to gang up together against the Death Riders. No, not the Death Riders. Everybody has to team up to take out Don Callis and family once and for all. I don't know how we get there, but we're gonna get there. So between now and All In, it's gonna come to a head. There'll probably be an anarchy in the arena, involved somehow. And you have the tag team championships, which are sort of like, FTR has the belts now. I say now, but the tag team division's heating up again, and with the possibility of my boys Butcher and Blade returning, who FTR, by the way, have never beaten in tag team thing. I don't kayfabe that, but it's funny. Yeah, it's funny. That's how it's happened. They're 1-0 against FTR. I hope they come back. They come back to that, right? Because Pepper just cut it like a video promo a couple days ago on his Instagram, and it's like, okay, you see the direction. It's like, all right, we're coming for everyone. It's like, yes, about the goddamn time. They should be killers, and it'll be fun to see if they actually pull the trigger on it. And the return of MJF just stacks up the main event scene that much more. It's like they haven't really hot potatoed the AEW belt in the whole existence of the company, really. It's like, would that be a good idea? Because you have MJF there, you have Eddie. You got at least 7 or 8 guys worthy of walking around the title right now, which is just great, right? It's great. It's great for for storytelling purposes, and it's like it's good to have a variety, and it's like it's just, instead of like having multiple matches with the same 2 guys, like in certain other places. I'm looking at you, Connecticut, right? It should be interesting to see what happens. The Continental Classic is still killing. I know some of the spoilers for Collision because they taped it. They taped it after Dynamite in Manchester because they're in England. But one of the results, and it's like, let's just say it's getting very interesting in one of the. It will be getting very interesting in one of the divisions. That's all I'll say. They're sowing the seeds of doubt of the Takeshita Okada final. A week, with like a week to go, and that's kind of a good thing. That just means it's going to make for real lively shows at Hammerstein. The crowd's going to be electric. No telling what they have planned. It's exciting, and they're going to go out and they're going to end the year with a bang. So many match opportunities going to be coming out of that, and I can't wait for it, really. And as we get to the end of the year here, You got to reflect on like the past 10 months. Yeah, 10 months now. It's been about 10 months since I was made moderator of the circus. And it's been relatively easy, surprisingly. For the most part, talking the Falcons Nest boys and ladies are tend to behave for the most part, but there's times when they get off on tangents, and you have to herd them like cats. They're like stay on topic, right? And I appreciate people giving this thing a chance, right? Appreciate the feedback and all that. And appreciate everybody buying the merch. At the $9 podcast.dashery.com. Still waiting on questions. It's like at the $9 podcast.yahoo.com. Critiques. Take constructive criticism is always good, right? You only learn from it. Because again, I harp on it all the time. This is a work in progress. What's the goal by this time next year? To know what the know what the fuck I'm doing way better, right? Because but the amount of episodes I have under my belt now, and it's like I'll keep upgrading stuff, and I'm still upgrading stuff as we speak, right? In the middle, I got about all the parts together to build a dedicated podcast PC. So because I'm running this on like a laptop, and laptops are good until the battery dies. And it's like, if you're lucky, you get like a year, 2 to 3 years out of a laptop. So I'm hedging my bets, and it's like putting together a system, because I've built my own computers for about 15 years or so. Amazingly they haven't blown up, right? They haven't caught on fire, and nothing to actually work. It's shocking, but people tend to get freaked out about building computers, out of parts. But here's the thing: all you need is a screwdriver. If you know how to use a screwdriver, you can build a computer. It's just getting matching parts. Matching parts is the thing to do. Is the biggest time consumption when building stuff. Just like doing research. Doing research for the podcast is for podcast topics is the same sort of time consideration. It's just a matter of allocating the time to get it right, and hope people like your results.